down. Way to go! Cowabunga!
For a person in their mid-30s, there are many things that can rekindle memories from their childhood. A song from an early 90s movie, a vintage TV ad found on social media, or relics like a cassette tape. In this list of things, one can most often than not find a certain band of brothers known as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Back when Star Plus was playing exclusively English and international content, the Ninja Turtles cartoon show was the talk of the school. It was the early 90s and the Ninja Turtles were at their peak. The Turtles arcade games had hit the scene and a console port was also released on the SNES. Since then, the heroes in the half shell have had a mixed run, with the properties swaying between all kinds of medium with some questionable design choices. Enter Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge to recapture that energy and vibe from its heydays and deliver one nostalgia-filled trip back in time. Based on the trailers at least, this game seemed to tick all the right boxes. But how does it actually play? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Ishak and this is a review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in the half shell. They are the ones must feel some fighting change.
If I have to review this game in 2 words, all I have to say is
It's time!
and you know what that means if you're a real TMNT fan. But let's review it properly for the ones who are looking for a fun video game. Shredder's Revenge is a pixel art 2D style beat 'em up game that acts as a sequel of sorts to the Turtles games from the SNES era. What surprised me here is how faithful to the originals this iteration of the game is. What we have here is a simple, no-nonsense package that is almost a bit too risky to be released in this day and age of games aiming for 100 plus hours of content. That said, while this game looks like a sequel to those classic games, it has the backing of the technological advancements that a modern game can leverage, and almost all areas of the game benefit from these improvements. Combat, for example, may look like your standard beat 'em up affair, with basic moves and combos. But there's plenty of nuance here for those seeking some finesse. We have the classic jump attacks that are effective against airborne enemies and if you need to close a gap in the heat of the battle. There is also a running dash if you want to do so, which also helps clear out a bunch of enemies at a time. Getting close to an enemy lets you grab them and execute throws. And yes, they do fly towards the screen. Dodge rolls make it easy to avoid incoming attacks and perform counter attacks. And there's a charge attack that helps you break enemy guard and deal heavy damage. Now these are the variations that can be found in the minute-to-minute combat, but it is in how these variations of attacks can be utilized is where the genius in the game's design and ultimately the fun factor lies in. Complementing these tools in combat is the addition of a power bar that fills up as we beat up goons while avoiding damage. Filling this up reserves a super move that can be performed at any time. These super moves can come in real handy when you want to get out of a sticky situation. Lastly, we have the variations between the characters themselves. We have April, Splinter, Casey Jones alongside the 4 brothers as playable characters, which each of them having their own traits. Leonardo, for example, is a character with a well-balanced stat, while selecting Raph might push the player for an aggressive approach thanks to his low range but high power. In contrast, Donnie has a high range, which means playstyle might differ with each selected character. You complete the playthrough with the character you select at the beginning, so there is a good amount of replay value should you choose to test out all 7 characters, adding to the playtime. There is also an arcade mode which kind of emulates the feel of arcades with minimal lives and no save points, requiring you to finish the game in one sitting. All of this can be done with co-op play with support for up to 6 players via local and online co-op. But one can feel overwhelmed and lose track of what is happening on screen, as there can be way too much happening with just 4 players on there. But the option for 6 players is available should you and your friends feel ever so inclined to do so. With all that said, there is not a lot you can do in this game, as the game is quite light on content. And believe me, that is not a bad thing, because the 16 levels in this game are just long enough for a quick play session and they work well in service of the story that lasts a little over 2 hours. For that reason alone, we'll not talk too much about it. But it is safe to say that the story in Shredder's Revenge is very much in tune with the past games of the series, and more importantly the cartoons of the early 90s. Suffice to say, fans of either will have a gleeful smile on their faces while playing through the game. It's not just the story that adds to the authenticity of the game, but also how each character is defined in their mannerisms, which is often reflected during combat in the game. Raph's aggression and Mikey's goofiness are immediately noticeable, and so is Splinter's composure. There is a taunt move that can be performed during combat, which also fills the aforementioned power bar, and that is unique to each character and fun to perform. Even the foot soldiers make you chuckle thanks to their clumsiness in battle and their obvious disguises like working an office job or at a carnival booth. It is little touches like these that go beyond gameplay and story that adds to the boatloads of charm that this game effortlessly oozes with. Much of the charm comes with the game's pixel-style graphics, and granted, while this is a popular art style, it may not be for everyone. But for those into it, this game is an absolute treat. The arcade and the NES versions of the game look the way they did due to the technical limitations of their time. While that is in no way saying they look bad, the 2D pixel sprites were the way to go back then. But the pixel aesthetics of today is a beast of its own, and the developers of the game have made the best of the art style with complex animations, lush environments, superb character designs, and a super appealing color palette. Complementing these great games is the soundtrack that one could easily have mistaken to have traveled through time in the best way possible. Just listen to this for a moment. These tracks capture the essence of the 90s and add to the game's super fun vibe. Throw in character and scenario intros that scream retro cool, and you have a package that begs to be played multiple times. Anyone who has played their share of games will clearly know a game that has been crafted with love when they see one. Shredder's Revenge is one such game. With its pixel art style, excellent soundtracks, and the fun as hell gameplay, this game portrays the amount of care and love poured into each aspect of the game with ease. Shredder's Revenge is a game not only for those looking for a nostalgia trip to the heydays of the Ninja Turtles, but also to those looking for a fun beat 'em up and good video game in general. As a gamer, I honestly say we truly need more games like this. So that was the review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. If you're looking for more nostalgia and how the games industry is making old games look awesome, check out our video on game remakes. Be sure to comment on what is your favorite Turtles game, movie or show, or what is your favorite retro game. Let's have a conversation going. Until then, I'm Ishak. Thank you for watching. You take care, stay safe, and keep gaming.
What I got here frontin', these crews get rock steady. We playin' faster than bebop. Gillespie with the technique. Y'all like